All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're basically tearing up the old rulebook for how we build software. We're going to hand you the new one, straight from the people on the absolute front lines of the AI revolution. So let's dive into the playbook that is really going to define the next decade of tech.
Now look, that's not my line. That is a direct quote from speakers at the AI Engineer World's Fair. Just the largest conference on the entire planet for applied AI engineering. It's a pretty bold statement, right? It's meant to be a shock to the system, but it's pointing to a massive, and I mean massive, fundamental shift that's happening right under our feet.
But here's the thing to remember. This isn't about an ending. It's actually a new beginning. The skills, the strategies, the things that define the last 20 years of technology, they're becoming obsolete. But in their place, a new, way more powerful playbook is taking shape, and that's the playbook we're going to break down for you right now.
So what are these new rules? Well, it all starts with a pretty dramatic change in what we even consider valuable. It's no longer just about who can write the cleverest lines of code. It's really about two new pillars: context and agents.
I want you to really think about this for a second. In the past, your secret sauce, your intellectual property, was your source code. Now, it's the rich, specific, and really well-organized information that you feed to an AI. Your business processes, your customer data, your brand style guides. That context is the new source code, and the AI is just the compiler. It's your most valuable IP, period.
And this quote just brilliantly explains why that context is so critical. Try to put yourself in the AI's shoes. It's working inside this tiny, dark box. It only knows what you tell it. If you don't give it the right business goals or the user data or the project files, it's like asking someone to build a house while they're wearing a blindfold. The absolute key to unlocking its power is empathy, giving it everything it needs to see the full picture.
This focus on context leads directly into the second new rule. And this one changes who your customer even is. We are entering what people are calling the business-to-agent economy. For decades, we built software for humans. Now, we have to build software for AIs. The main consumer of your API or your service won't be a person. It's going to be another AI.
And the ripple effects of this are just huge. I mean, think about it. Agents won't just use services. They're going to research them, compare them, and even make purchase decisions. This means if your documentation isn't machine-readable, like with a special LLM.txt file, or your API is confusing for an AI to understand, you're going to be completely invisible in this new economy. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so we know the new rules, but you might be sitting there thinking, hey, I'm using AI tools, but I am definitely not seeing 10x productivity. And look, you're not alone. The secret isn't just using an AI, it's all about how you use it. And this is what we call the orchestration playbook.
The biggest mistake people are making right now is focusing only on the model itself, like which is better, Claude or GPT-4. But the real breakthrough, the magic, it comes from building what's called an orchestration layer. Basically, a supportive framework that you build around the AI agent, which turns it from a simple little tool into a powerful autonomous worker.
And this orchestration layer, it really just rests on three pillars that all have to work together. First, like we already covered, you provide that rich context, the what and the why. Second, you give it powerful tools so it can actually do things in the real world. And finally, you set super clear validation, a definition of done, so it knows exactly when its job is finished and successful. Let's just focus on that middle pillar for a second, tools. This quote perfectly captures the problem. If you ask an AI to build a user interface without giving it any tools, yeah, it can write the code, but it can't see its own work. It is literally designing blind, which is why it always struggles with that final pixel-perfect polish. So, how do we actually give an AI these tools? Well, the answer is a new standard called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. But forget the jargon, all it is an instruction manual. An MCP tells an AI exactly how to use a specific tool, whether that's a piece of software, a web browser, or some internal API you've built. And this is where things start to feel like science fiction. With a tool like the Playwright MCP, an AI can literally open a browser, look at the UI it's building, take a screenshot of it, and then self-correct its own work. It can use Firecrawl to go read a website for research, or it can use the GitHub CLI to commit its own code.
all of a sudden, the blindfolds are off.
So, what happens when you combine these new rules with this orchestration playbook? Well, the very nature of engineering work itself begins to transform, and it starts delivering results that, honestly, sound almost unbelievable.
And the results really are staggering. We're not talking about a small bump in efficiency. Teams that are properly orchestrating AI agents are seeing 5 to 10 times the productivity. Just let that sink in for a minute. That is not a 10% improvement. It's a complete phase shift that redefines what's even possible and how fast you can build things.
But maybe the biggest surprise is where this speed actually comes from. It's not just about writing code faster. The biggest gains come from totally eliminating these communication bottlenecks. When a non-technical product manager can just describe an internal tool they need, and the AI builds it for them, you skip weeks of meetings, mock-ups, and all that back and forth.
All of this leads to a fundamental identity shift for the engineer. Your focus moves from writing individual lines of code to designing the entire system for these agents to work in. Your main activity is no longer hands-on coding, but it's providing the right context and the right tools. You're basically transforming from a software engineer into a system orchestrator.
So that's the new playbook. And it leaves us with one final big question to think about. As this technology continues its exponential march forward, the most important decision you're going to make is whether you want to keep building the bricks by hand or if you want to become the architect for the intelligent systems that are going to build our future.